Good morning. I'm the Reverend Sasha Ostrom, the minister here at the Morristown Unitarian Universalist Fellowship, and it is wonderful to be with you once more as we gather together for worship, for lifting up that which is of worth in this great common life we all share. And as we settle in for the hour, let's pause now to center our minds and our hearts around this month's spiritual theme of resilience. And we begin today with the words by the Reverend Joe Von Rue. So please join me now in the spirit of meditation or prayer. Spirit of life and love, God of many names and yet none at all. Our hearts are stretched thin. We see and hear the devaluing of people of color, of those with disabilities, of women, of immigrants. This list, incomplete as it is exhausting. And yet we hold fast because we carry hope in our hearts. Hope that together we can dismantle systems of oppression. Hope that the collective of American humanity will look at one another and say, this has got to change. However thin our resilience may be wearing, we do not give up or give in. We look around and we see our friends and neighbors carrying signs, moving and marching together because we must not give up. We join thousands of people in the streets. We move for justice. We live for peace. We will not rest until we are heard. We will not rest until equity is made more real all around us. In spirit of life, we look within our own hearts to the burning coal that is at the center of our being, the place where our hope for the world lives, the place where our faith in humanity resides. And there we find the strength and courage to continue moving forward, however muddy and rough the path may be. And so come, my friends, and let's worship together.
Good morning. I'm Steve Runyon, one of our worship associates here at Morristown Unitarian Fellowship. It is time to kindle our chalice, the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist tradition. Would a volunteer like to come up to light our chalice? I'm getting a little bit of a head shake. Come on up. All right. Okay. Our chalice lighting words today are by Anastasia Birosh. We kindle this chalice not only because it originated in antiquity, but because this symbol combats malice. This burning flame represented hope during the bleakness of World War II, a sign of refuge, meaning death was circumvented, if only for that night. This emblem, a flame and a chalice encircled twice, assured weary refugees fleeing Nazi persecution that for a time they had found safety and respite. Today, this beacon shining bright reminds us to summon the strength to extend care and love to those in need forthright. We ignite this flame today for our shared humanity. And now, please stand as you're able for our affirmation by James Villa-Blake. Please repeat each line after me, which helps our youngest members participate, even if they don't read yet. Love is the spirit of this fellowship.
Love is the spirit of this fellowship.
And service is its law.
And service is its law.
This is our great covenant.
This is our great covenant.
To dwell together in peace.
To dwell together in peace.
To seek the truth in love.
To seek the truth in love.
And to help one another.
And to help one another.
Please join me now for our opening hymn. Our opening hymn today is number 354, We Laugh, We Cry.
We
Good morning again, and welcome. Welcome especially to any newcomers, returning members of our community, and anyone who has joined us online today. If you're tuning in live on YouTube, please say hi in the chat if you haven't already. We're delighted to have you with us. We're a community of many ages, but we all worship together. You can join us many ways on Sunday, including online, here in the sanctuary, or from one of the many rooms in our building where we live stream the service. Parents, or anyone really, if you would be more comfortable where you or your little ones can talk, cry, play, or run around, our family room is through the doors and to the right. If you would prefer to drop off your 9-month to 5-year-old, please bring them to room A in the Gateway Center, out and to the left, then all the way down. Again, welcome to everyone with us today. We're glad you're here.
All right. I have the handheld microphone today because I'm doing many things. Today's theme, does anyone know today's theme? It's on the top of your thing. How about you kids? You can't remember? Resistance. Resilience, sorry. See? You all passed, good job. Resilience through community is our theme today. For those who are new, I'm Nick. I'm the Director of Religious Education. And every week, when we have religious education for our children, their classes mirror and mimic the themes that are happening in the service. So that way, if you drop your child off, you can have something to talk about on the way home. Instead of just saying, what did you learn today? You'll say, oh, we talked about community today. What did you learn about that? But we always start off our classes with a box. This is my mystery box. Would anyone care to guess what's in this box? Andre, you have a thought? Should I shake it? What do you think's in there? Basketball, okay. Could go along. Teamwork is community. All right, I like the thought on that one. Anyone else? Caleb, what do you got? What do you think it is? A car. All right. All right. Maybe if we were like a F1 pit crew in community doing it together. All right. Who wants to? No, I saw some new folks back here. I'm going to put them on the spot. Which is not what you're supposed to do. This is wrong. Dates. All right, so thank you, Liam, for being a good sport there, getting put on the spot. Kids who've been here a lot don't even like doing that. All right, what do dates have to do with community?
You share them.
No, you share them if they're in a bot. That's a good one. They grow together on a tree. We are a people of many faiths. And there is a particular holiday of a faith that's happening right around this time. So think that way. Does anyone know? Yeah. Ramadan. There we go. Good. So, in Ramadan, does anyone know what happens in Ramadan? No? Folks fast all day, and then they break the fast that evening. Often, their first bite is a date. That's what it said. Now, who likes not eating? You? No one in my house is not allowed to not eat. It gets ugly there. Do you like it not eating? No? Does anyone think it's hard to not eat? Has anyone not eaten before? What makes not eating and doing hard things easier? Wait, bring it around. Community. Doing it together, right? Sometimes we do hard things, like not eating, but Muslims often will get together with their community and break fast together. Doing things together makes it easier. Right now in Minneapolis, which Reverend Sasha is going to talk about later, one of the groups that's being targeted there, the reason they're being targeted there is are Somali immigrants who are predominantly Muslim. And the community there is banding together to help them in different ways. Reverend Sasha's going to talk about that, so that's for you. But doing hard things together is community. is really important. That's why we're here in this place. You guys could do a lot of the great work you do, the social justice work, the caring work, but it's hard to do it by yourself. It's better to do it together. And we don't always have to work and do hard things together. After the service today, we're going to eat together. I'm going to run over there and help the middle schoolers continue making pancakes for everyone and all the accoutrements, so we can invite you all to stay and hang out with them. They are working very hard over there, a little beehive in community, working together to bring us all to eat together. So hopefully we'll continue to be together in community. And these are Reverend Sasha.
Sasha has sustenance.
And as a very brief, funny aside, he text messaged me at like 11 yesterday, and he says, "Do you by any chance have any dates?" And because I had been looking at the program for that, I had been thinking about dates, so I had gone to the cabinet and had pulled out the container of dates and was literally eating them as he text messaged me. So I snapped a good photo of that and sent him to that. I was very amused by this. All right. So it is now time for our milestones and passages. You know, sometimes we come to the sacred place with a lot on our hearts. Maybe you got married. Maybe you lost a job. Maybe you've recovered from an illness, or perhaps you were going through a divorce. And children have joys and sorrows too, things that make you happy and sad. And whatever your age, you can share your joys and sorrows in our service by filling out our milestones and passages form online before 9 a.m. on Sunday morning. And that form can be found in our newsletter. And we also have paper forms that are located on the table on your way into the sanctuary. This morning we have a few items that people have submitted, so I ask that you please respond after each of these by saying we hold you in our hearts. And if you are joining us online today, I invite you to respond in our chat. It is with sadness that we share the news today that Hans Bjorklund, husband of Morristown UU member Judy Bjorklund, died on Monday, February 9th, 2026, of an unexpected illness. A funeral to honor Hans will take place on Monday, February 16th, tomorrow, from 3 to 5 p.m. at the Partroy Funeral Home in Parsippany. And donations may be made in Hans' honor to the Sierra Club, per his wishes as well as Judy's. And we hold Judy and everyone who loved Hans in our hearts during this time of grief. We hold you in our hearts. Shari Lowe shares her gratitude for the 8 muff artists who have donated 13 gorgeous pieces of their work to our art auction for the Gateways Glitter and Song Celebration. Yvonne Geis-Gorman even created a custom blown glass piece anchored on a stone from the fellowship grounds. We hold you in our hearts, and thank you for those donations. And I actually have one more over there. And Carolyn Schwartz shares that my granddaughter, Delinda Machini, completed her first semester at Moravian College with a 4.0 average. Congratulations, and we hold you in our hearts. All right, let's take a quiet moment now for the prayers and meditations in our own hearts, those that have been shared as well as those that remain unspoken. And close your eyes. Allow yourself to kind of settle into your chair. Feel yourself sinking into it. Take a moment to focus on your breath. Allow yourself to hear the breaths of the people around you, this community that holds you. The spirit of life, sometimes known as Ruach, which means breath. Imagine that holding all of us in this still moment together. Amen and blessed be. Now I ask that you please remain seated as we sing number 402, From You I Receive.
You
For our reading this morning, let's revisit a poem by Kyle Tron Myrie that offers some wisdom we need in times like these for our country and world. Kyle Tron Myrie, better known by his stage name Guante, is an American hip-hop recording artist, national slam poet champion, activist, and educator based in Minneapolis, Minnesota. This piece is called When It Really Is Just the Wind and Not a Furious Vexation. And it was shared during a vigil for Alex Priddy that Reverend Sasha attended in Minnesota last month. May our hearts receive this poem as a prayer. The year I was born, the Soviet Union's early warning radar system malfunctioned, reporting 5 intercontinental ballistic missiles in flight, a preemptive nuclear strike. You may have heard this story, how a single lieutenant colonel dismissed the signal as the false alarm that it was. But had he made a different call in that moment? Had he seen those 5 ghost fingers as a fist, a mushroom cloud, the most dangerous cliche? I hold it in my hands on my 40th birthday, and it becomes a bouquet. 1,000 stems leading to 1,000 worlds in which cooler heads did not prevail, to 1,000 alternate universe versions of me born in the year of the apocalypse. I see myself dead via radiation poisoning, dead via the shutdown of the supply chain, the failure of the water system, the reemergence of previously preventable disease. Dead in such manly ways, via an unlucky fall and a fist fight over nothing, via a scratch ignored and infected. I plucked petals, looking for a version of me who survives, hoping to find that, leather jacket, black motorcycle, katana strapped to my back version. That warrior poet, lone vessel of vengeance, keeping the wasteland's unending tide of razor-clawed mutants at bay version. All these dead worlds, and he isn't out there. All these visions of who I could have been, and not a single hero, folk, super, anti, or otherwise. In one life, I wore a suit of armor and drowned in the river. In one life, I hoarded food and choked on it. In one life, the basement was so full of boxes of bullets, or a tornado came and I had nowhere to go, no shelter. I emptied clip after clip into the wind. All these dead worlds, and we tell the same stories. Which is not to say I never survive, just that my survival in every reality where it is possible never belongs to me. I see myself 40, not a dual-wielding bandit overlord, just a neighbor sitting in another endless community meeting. And how many of our ancestors have already taught us, even after the world ends, there is work to do. I see myself in that work, not the leader, not a lone wolf, just another part of the pack. Because in every universe in which I am alive, it is because of other people. And I don't always like them, but I love them. In every universe in which I am alive, it is less because I could fight and more because I could forgive, because I could cooperate, because I could apologize, because I could dance, because I could grow pumpkins in my backyard and leave them at my neighbor's door, asking for nothing in return. In every universe in which I am alive, I am holding a first aid kit, a solar panel, a sleeping cat, never a rusty battle axe or rocket launcher. Sure, maybe sometimes a chainsaw, but only for firewood. I am holding a cooking pot, a teddy bear, a photo album, a basketball, a bouquet of flowers. Survival is not a fortress, it is a garden. Survival is not a siren, it is a symphony. And yeah, we fight for it sometimes, but survival is not the fight. It is the healing after, the soft hum of someone you trust applying the bandage, the feeling of falling asleep in a safe place. We come now to the time in our service when each Sunday we pause to offer our gifts of financial support to this congregation. Your donations make all that we do here together possible and also help make our wider community a better place. That's because each Sunday we give at least half of the money we collect to an organization that is doing good work to advance our Unitarian Universalist values in a world that needs them now more than ever. Today's offering will be split 50-50 with New Jersey Together, a multi-faith, multi-issue, and strictly nonpartisan community organizing coalition of congregations, nonprofits, neighborhood organizations, and parent groups to develop leaders, strengthen communities, and seek justice. You may give in our collection plate or by following the instructions printed in your order of service and shown on screen. Thank you in advance for your generosity.
That was a really cool piece. I like that. As you may know, I recently spent about a week in the Twin Cities answering a call for clergy to come and witness there for justice. Today, I would like to tell you a little bit about some of my experiences there and some of the lessons that I learned. But first, I think a little bit of context may be in order. So a massive immigration crackdown called Operation Metro Surge began in the Twin Cities on December 1st. And while the federal government recently announced plans to withdraw, folks on the ground are saying that conditions remain unchanged. All day, every day, their rapid response chats are lighting up with ICE sightings and attempted abductions. Meanwhile, DHS is buying warehouses nationwide in a clear bid to expand operations. And there's one right here in our own backyard here in Morris County. And we're going to be protesting that tomorrow, so I hope some of you might consider coming out. But we're going to need a lot more than just protests in order to stop ICE. We are going to need to learn how to effectively defend our community. And so let me share 5 lessons that I learned during my week in the Twin Cities. So the first thing that I learned in the Twin Cities is that you cannot fight oppression alone. You know, even before I left for Minneapolis, organizers were teaching us how to build pods. Now, you may recognize that word pod from the pandemic, but in Minneapolis, pods are basically these micro communities of 4 to 7 people. And I joined a pod when I went out there of people who would be staying in the same hotel as me. And our job was to watch each other's backs while we were out there, ensuring that no one traveled alone at any point. If one of us happened to, heaven forbid, be arrested, they would serve as our jail support. Now, we can think of these pods as the smallest unit of resistance, you know, the close friends that we call our very own, like the hymn we sang earlier. Now, pods were just one of the ways that I saw resilient communities being really woven together there in Minneapolis. There were so many layers upon layers of community there, from all of those very small pods all the way up to the biggest pillars of society. So after the pods of those 4 to 7 individuals, people organized at the street level, with next-door neighbors planning vigils together, taking care of each other's kids during emergencies, making sure that everyone had enough food if it wasn't safe for some members of the street to grocery shop, and so on. And then after they get off that street level, the next level was a hyper-local group of neighbors who all lived within about the same 3-mile radius. And those folks organized neighborhood patrols to keep an eye out for ICE and formed rapid response groups to document interactions between federal authorities and the public. There are now 30,000 trained observers in Minnesota. Right? Yes. So after those hyperlocal groups, there were even larger groups organized at the city level or at the metro level, such as community groups who were coming together to support people as they were released from detention, sometimes out into the cold with no coats on their backs. Also organizing into medical professionals, providing healthcare at free clinics. And there are people right now who are actually, Nick mentioned this earlier, are collecting donations to be able to provide food for people to break their fast during Ramadan at home so that they can safely partake in that if it's not safe for people to go out. And then there are faith communities which serve as organizing, healing, community building, and mutual aid spaces that host everything from vigils to know your rights trainings to pickup sites for winter clothing. And so that's the first big lesson that I learned in Minneapolis. Do not try to fight oppression alone. Gather your people around you, meet and support your neighbors up and down your street or maybe in your apartment building. Consider joining a rapid response group. I can point you towards some trainings for that if that's something that you feel ready for. You know, we need one another, especially in times like this. So let's go ahead and deepen the bonds of community at every single level that we can. We'll go ahead and dig into this a little bit more here soon, but first let's go ahead and pause as we do here and sing together a bit. Our song is number 131, We'll Build a Land, and we're going to sing just the first verse. 121, thank you. 121, We Will Build a Land. Please rise.
Oh,
right, so here is the second lesson that I learned in Minneapolis. The most effective resistance is a trained resistance. For such a short gathering, a surprising amount of training was provided. Before we even went to Minneapolis, we received a crash course in digital security, how to create pods, and we also learned breathing techniques to help keep us from being overly activated in tense or scary situations. And all of this was intended to help us learn to keep ourselves as well as one another safe when we were out there. Now, some people resisted the idea that so much training was necessary for such a short time there in Minneapolis. One entire day, after all, consisted of nothing but training, and we were told that we should not come to Minneapolis unless we could commit to attending the whole thing. And a few people pushed back on that. Many of us there were not exactly new to activism, and so why couldn't we skip the training? But the organizers responded in a way that immediately gave many of us pause. They said that we needed this training because we were about to enter into something that we were not prepared for, that we could not be prepared for unless perhaps if we had personal experiences of living under occupation. And the trainers warned us that there was a good chance that when we were out there, we would see some pretty horrific things, and we needed to be trained in advance to respond to that appropriately. And so we began with something very basic in our training, and that was breathing. We were taught to breathe in for 3 seconds, to hold that breath for 4 seconds, and then to release that breath for 5 seconds. Our nervous systems are constantly communicating and responding to our breath. And simple techniques like this can really help us to regulate our emotions so that we won't be quite as activated in tense times. In the Twin Cities, where federal forces are themselves very, very activated and eager often to escalate, letting ourselves become too activated can actually become dangerous. It can lead to foolish mistakes on our part, or it can lead to rising tensions that in a place like that can swiftly become deadly. And so we were taught to breathe. And when we breathe, we give ourselves the option to pause, even for a second or two, and decide how we want to respond instead of just reacting. Now, in a later training, an organizer reminded us that pausing to breathe and collect ourselves like that is especially important when we face ICE agents, as we might find ourselves doing there in the Twin Cities when attending a march, honoring the dead at a vigil, filming an encounter between ICE and the public, or even going out to eat somewhere. And then she offered our third lesson today. I like this one. Don't get any smart ideas, was her third lesson. Now, what she meant by that is in really tense situations, even experienced activists can sometimes find ourselves getting activated. And suddenly you find yourself wanting to just toss out that training and react in ways that feel really emotionally satisfying, but maybe are not helpful for the movement, maybe you're not safe for us or for the people around us. So don't do that. She taught us, do not get any smart ideas. If you do that, you are putting people around you in danger, you're putting the action in danger, and you're putting yourself in danger. And this movement is one that needs all of us alive and healthy, much more than it needs any of us to be heroes, so do not get any smart ideas. And to practice that lesson, we did an exercise called a hassle line. Raise your hand if you have ever heard of or been in a hassle line before. So we do have a couple who've been through that before. So hassle lines are really great tools for demonstrating what happens to us emotionally in tense situations. And they can also help us to avoid feeling, to remain unactivated, vigilant, and in solidarity with one another in volatile situations. So in the hassle line at this particular training, there were 2 different lines. In one line, a group of clergy were practicing being peaceful moral witnesses. And in the other line, a group of clergy role-played being ICE agents. And the people playing ICE got in the faces of those who were playing the part of peaceful moral witnesses. They shouted, they screamed, and threw insults. I've been to hassle lines before where they actually were allowed to shove. In this case, that was not allowed, but shoving sometimes happens. And meanwhile, through all of that, the moral witnesses are expected to try to keep calm and to stay unified with one another. And after about 3 minutes of harassment, the moral witnesses suddenly locked elbows. And then one of them started to sing. And then they all started to sing. And it was right about then that the trainer ended that exercise. Now, afterwards, both sides of this exercise shared what the experience was like for them. The moral witnesses described this as something that was actually pretty scary and something that made them feel angry. Even though they knew and trusted the people that were acting as ICE, it was still activating for them. But then they said when they joined arms and they started singing together, they found that level of energy kind of calming down a little bit. And then on the flip side, the people who were role-playing the hecklers reported that they felt angry and aggressive even though they were just acting. And then when their opponents started to sing, they found that they felt it was harder for them to actually stay emotionally activated, at least to that same level. The singing actually took a little bit of the wind out of their sails. So that's a valuable lesson for us if we're ever in an intense situation like that sometimes coming together as a community and singing can actually bring the temperature down a little bit. Maybe if we ever faced real ICE agents, could de-escalate them a little bit. If we remember our training, if we breathe, if we pause before reacting so that we can choose our response, then we're able to protect each other. So effective resistance then takes more than good hearts or just a love for justice. It also requires real preparation and training. And to build resilient communities that can withstand and challenge oppression, we need to get ready, mentally and emotionally, as well as with regards to developing some concrete skills. And that is how we learn to protect our communities. And speaking of protection, in the Twin Cities, community defense is not something that is an abstract concept. It is something that is very concrete, very embodied, a very boots-on-the-ground type of thing. And that brings me to the fourth lesson that I learned in Minneapolis, and that is that resisting this kind of oppression requires protection, not just protest. And Steve actually preached on this just a few weeks ago, about the difference between protection and protest. It's worth looking that sermon up if you have not heard it already or you want to revisit it. And Minneapolis really exemplifies this idea. And so one thing you have to understand about Minneapolis is that ICE is everywhere out there. I saw about 20 of them within about an hour of my arrival there in Minneapolis. They were in a hotel directly across the street from the hotel that I was in. So people out there cannot avoid them. Almost everyone I spoke to who lives in the area knows somebody who was harassed by ICE, who was injured, who was arrested, who was detained. Some people knew people who had been detained and then released. Apparently that actually happens a lot, where people are just thrown out into the cold. So everybody knows somebody who's been through this in that area. And these folks are working really, really hard to protect themselves as well as one another. And so when someone pulls out a camera on their way to work or to the grocery store or while they're out walking their dog and they film ICE terrorizing their neighborhood, that is not a protest. That is community defense. So years and years ago, I was in a group in Phoenix called Phoenix Cop Watch. That was during the immigration activities that were happening, the immigration crackdown there at that time. And one of the things we learned out there is that when you film law enforcement engaged in actions against the populace, sometimes that actually causes them to change their behavior a little bit when a camera is on them. So bringing out those cameras is actually a way of protecting people in Minneapolis. And it is also a way of protecting people's rights because, as we know, people's rights are being abused, but if there are no eyes on it, there is not a lot of hope that there will be any kind of redress of grievances later. So in Minneapolis, I was watching a panel discussion about rapid response organizing when one of the organizers told us that ICE had just been spotted nearby. And so immediately the church was placed on lockdown in order to protect everyone there. And then shortly after, we heard that ICE had actually abducted someone 2 blocks away from where we were, and 2 observers had been hurt in that interaction. Now, the incident was disturbing, but it also demonstrated in a really cool way the power of community in that moment, because right there in that church, medical professionals were able to treat the observers because, get this, they had a free clinic in the basement of the church. So that's a thing that congregations are doing in times like this. And then we all witnessed for ourselves a loaves and fishes type of miracle. So despite the fact that the building was locked down and we had about 200 people in there who were unexpected guests around lunchtime, the congregation managed to cobble together from random things in their kitchen soup enough to feed everybody there. So we all broke bread together and had a lovely chicken soup. And then when the lockdown lifted, they coordinated a very careful exit. They were pairing those of us who had cars with people who did not have vehicles to make sure that every single person was able to get out of there safely. They had us moving out in groups of 5 to make it a little bit harder for ICE to grab people as we were leaving. So we then left and we headed to the only protest that we actually attended while we were out there, which was the massive march in the negative 30-degree wind chill. Yeah, that was a unique experience. So other than that protest, though, everything else out there in terms of action was actually community defense. From the patrols before and after school to help keep students and parents and teachers safe, to mutual aid organizing to cover people's rent or legal fees or grocery bills, to warm clothing collections to protect newly released detainees from the cold, to the shift to remote learning that's happening in some of the schools out there so that kids who can't safely leave home can still get an education, and a lot more. That's just like a tiny list. And all of that is not protest. That is a community coming together to defend themselves as well as one another. So we'll dig in a little bit more here in a moment, but we're going to pause again and sing before we do. So again, it's number 121. We're going to sing our second verse this time. And go ahead and stand if that feels good in your body. Otherwise, feel free to stay seated. All right, so the fifth and most difficult lesson that I learned out there came at the airport when I was there ready to fly home, actually. News broke that Alex Preddy had just been murdered, and organizers were asking all the clergy who were still in the state to stay. So we had no idea what the plan was going to be. We were just asked to stay. We just had to be flexible, and we had to be willing to do what must be done, which brings me to lesson number 5. And lesson number 5 is this: community means showing up even when you don't know what to expect. Now that night, I eventually ended up doing door security for a vigil. The next morning, I was on a rapid response patrol outside of a Latina church. My partner and I stood there in our clergy stoles. This is actually one that I took with me out there. And an organizer handed each of the teams of 2 a gas mask and sent us on our way. And this was in a very casual way. It was very clear that this was not something that she found odd at all. That's just reality there. Now, we were lucky, probably because of the stoles, maybe because of the gas masks, I don't know, that when ICE saw us, they actually chose to drive away without messing with anyone. That night, another patrol At another church, after that patrol, a young woman told us that she would not have felt comfortable attending her congregational meeting if we had not been there. So at the start of this whole journey, at the very first training, the organizers told us no one is coming to save us. And that actually sounded really chilling to me, but then she told us that it's also liberating, because if no one is coming, then we have the freedom to save each other. And in Minneapolis, I saw whistles everywhere. I saw them on restaurant counters, on dining room tables, in church foyers, and around the necks of just random people walking down the street. They are a symbol out there of a community that is asking itself painful questions about what can save them and is finding the answers in one another. My friends, resistance is not usually a solitary, heroic act. It takes long and hard work in communities that are built to last through some rough times. May we all build pods of mutual care to ensure that no one fights alone. May we find the discipline to breathe, to train, and to protect the most vulnerable among us. And may we realize that we actually are the answer that we have been searching for. Amen. Blessed be. Let's go ahead and rise in body or spirit one more time. Sing those last two verses of this song.
Before we close, it's time for our Minutes for Ministries. This is when we share brief updates about our congregation's activities to help us stay engaged with our community beyond the Sunday service. This morning, I'd like to draw your attention to the following announcements. Any newcomers with us today are invited to fill out a welcome card to help you get connected to us. You can also talk to our welcome ambassador, who would love to meet you and answer any questions you have. Look for the sunny gold sash. If you have questions about religious education, please talk to our religious education ambassador, who is wearing a deep green sash. Anyone needing a caring presence this morning will find a compassionate listening ear with one of our lay pastoral care associates, and you'll recognize them by their sky blue sashes. And I think you know where they all are, so I won't ask them to stand again. We have several great activities for you every week. This week, join us tomorrow for book club, Wednesday for mindfulness meditation, Thursday for children's choir and adult choir, Saturday for gathering of men, community book exchange, and kids' night out. Next Sunday for our adult Soul Matters discussion group. And today, please come join us for our pancake breakfast immediately after the service. Then be sure to come back today at 5 p.m. for Singing Resistance. You may have heard about the Singing Resistance in Minneapolis. Resources were recently released nationwide, and now we're hosting the first local gathering right here in our sanctuary today. Whether you love singing, enjoy listening to justice music, are eager to build a nonviolent movement of singers and musicians working together for a better world, or just need to be in community during these hard days, we hope you'll join us. Full details about these and many other activities can be found on the back of your order of service, our weekly e-newsletter, or on our website at muuf.org. And now I open the mic to announcements from our ministry teams and committees. Let's have short announcements first, and then if there's time, we'll do longer ones.
I rise on behalf of our friend Diana Hart, who is amazingly, beautifully organizing our celebration of song on February 28th, but she really needs to know how much food to order, you guys. I know we like to wait to the last minute. I know. But please, sign up. Get your tickets now. It's pay what you want if you're a member. It's pay as much as you can for everybody, but whatever is comfortable. If you're a visitor, use the code FRIENDS20 and you can get $20 off. But please, do it now. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Marjorie Wormser, and I chair the Fun Community Connections team. As Nick said this morning, we are a beehive of activity. We get together on Sundays. We do social action projects. We are doing fundraising. We are doing many goal-directed things, and sometimes it's really good to just take a moment and have some fun and make connections and get to know one another so that we can do more of all those other things. So 3 examples. The most imminent right now is next Sunday, Rummy Cube, organized by Rita Morris, right after the Sunday service and the social hour. I believe it'll be in the library. And this is one of a series of game days that will take place. You've probably also heard about cinema circles, which are groups that get together once a month and talk about a movie previously viewed in the comfort of your home with your jammies and slippers. But some of these cinema circles get together for a potluck meal, others occur through Zoom, so you don't have to get out in the cold. And the third one is Meals with You Friends, groups that get together monthly, generally either at a restaurant or a brown bag here at the fellowship or other arrangements where when we break bread together, as Reverend Sasha said, we really get to know each other better and we can do great things. Thank you.
Hi, Sandra Persichetti, the Endowment Fund Committee. This is the last call for grant applications. We have a few that have come in online. I appreciate that. And I have ideas that people have told me, but I don't see the follow-up. So please remember you need to get your sponsor's approval before we can finalize the grant, and you have 2 weeks to go. So please hurry. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Barbara Castellanastasiak, and about a month ago you may have heard me announce that we're planning a service in mid-June with the theme Preaching from the Broadway Stage. A bunch of people have signed up for that. We're having our first meeting today in the library, but if you haven't signed up yet and you would like to be part of the planning and discussion, please come join us. Go get your pancakes and coffee, and we'll be in the library.
Good morning, my name is Brooke Donaldson. In exactly a month, on March 15th, we are having a spelling bee over at Chew Hall. This is a service auction event, but we want to make sure that everyone absolutely can join. We have 3 different spelling bees, adults, kids, and nonsensical, which means that probably the night before I'm going to make up a bunch of words that you will not know. So I want to just set the stage that none of this matters. There is no actual competition. The point that matters here is getting together in community, laughing and cheering. We are going to cheer so loud for people. So if you have not yet recovered from your third grade spelling bee like myself, this is your time to reclaim your pride. Thank you. Join us on March 15th. Let me know. I'll be eating pancakes. Let me know if you're interested.
And quickly, this coming Thursday, we're having a networking meeting on Zoom, 7 till 9 o'clock. If you haven't already provided your contact information for your committee, let me know. I will be in the Chew Hall to the left after the service. Thank you.
It's time now for us to bring our time of worship to a close. And as we go out into our daily lives, I leave you with the words of the Reverend Robin F. Gray. As we prepare to depart, we give voice to these hopes. May we know ourselves bound in community, even while we are apart. May a passion for justice burn in our lives. May we carry the light of compassion in our hearts and in our every interaction. May we be whole in our devotion to truth and always carry the lamp of peace before us. Amen. Blessed be, and go in peace.